On January 29, 2019, it was reported that the police was investigating a potential crime against the actor and musician Jussie Smollett, who had come to fame thanks to his portrayal of Jamal Lyon on the show Empire. According to the police, the incident happened at East Lower Water Street, Chicago, at about 2 a.m. as he was leaving a restaurant. Allegedly, two men with masks went up to him yelling slurs. They beat him up, put a noose around his neck, and threw bleach on him, after which they stopped the attack and left. After this, Jussie called his manager to let him know about what had happened, and went back to his apartment, where his choreographer, Frank Gatson, tried to convince him to call the police. However, Jussie refused, claiming that he was afraid of being victimized by them. Still, Frank called 911 and relayed the information that Jussie had given him. After the story broke, the world was immediately on Jussie's side. It's known that following the 2016 U.S. presidential election, the FBI reported that hate crimes had seen a 5% increase in comparison to the 2 years prior, with 57% of these incidents being race, ethnicity, or ancestry related. The following day, on January 30th, people like Janet Jackson, Naomi Campbell, John Legend, Zendaya, and Shonda Rhimes voiced their support for Jussie. The story was immediately a trending topic in every social media, and Jussie was receiving support from everyone. But very quickly, as the story unraveled, Jussie went from being a victim to being a perpetrator.
I respect too much the people who I am now one of those people who have been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
Prior to the crime, Jussie had stated that he received a threatening letter to the Fox studios. Given the way that the letter looked, Fox didn't take it seriously, arguing that whoever wrote that wouldn't be able to get past security. So Jussie had nothing to worry about in the studio. But Jussie was still worried because maybe he wasn't so safe outside of the Fox studio, and this fear would become a reality on January 29th. On January 30th, the Chicago PDs released a photo taken by CCTV cameras that showed two people who had become suspects in the investigation, and asked others to call in if they had any information about them. The next day, the Chicago PD reported that they had asked Jussie for his phone in order to confirm the phone call that he had made to his manager regarding the attack, but Jussie had refused to turn his phone over. However, the Chicago PD Superintendent Eddie T. Johnson said that Jussie was a victim, that he had been cooperative with the police, and that they were no longer demanding that he give up his phone. On February 1st, Jussie made his first statement about the attack, in which he said, "Let me start by saying that I'm okay. My body is strong, but my soul is stronger. More importantly, I want to say thank you. The outpouring of love and support from my village has meant more than I will ever be able to truly put into words. I am working with authorities and have been 100% factual and consistent on every level. Despite my frustration and deep concern with certain inaccuracies and misrepresentations that have been spread, I still believe that justice will be served. As my family stated, these types of cowardly attacks are happening to my sisters, brothers, and non-gender conforming siblings daily. I am not and should not be looked upon as an isolated incident. We will talk soon and I will address all details of this horrific incident, but I need a moment to process. Most importantly, during times of trauma, grief, and pain, there is still responsibility to lead with love. It's all I know, and that can be kicked out of me." The next day, Jussie made his first appearance since the attack during a concert in which he addressed the crowd by saying,
"I was bruised, but my ribs were not cracked. They were not broken. I went to the doctor immediately. Frank Gatson drove me. I was not hospitalized. Both my doctors in LA and Chicago cleared me to perform, but said to take care, obviously. And above all, I fought the back. I'm the gay Tupac."
On February 11th, Jussie gave the police redacted phone records. The police said that Jussie gave them a PDF file of redacted phone calls, but did not provide a download of the phone or a digital record. They said that there is no reason to suggest that the records were modified and that they were going to use the record to corroborate the timeline of the attack. They said, "Police continues to treat Smollett as a victim and are investigating this as a possible hate crime. Police remains interested in identifying and contacting people of interest. Investigators may want to speak to Smollett again. They are not even looking at charges regarding filing a false report." On February 14th, it seemed that the case was one step closer to being solved, when the police announced that they had arrested two people of interest to interrogate them. These two people were not charged and not treated as suspects, and they also did not look like what everyone imagined. The two people were Ola and Abel Osundairo, brothers originally from Nigeria, who had worked as Empire extras. sometimes going to the gym with the actor. The Chicago police spokesman said, due to new evidence as a result of today's interrogation, the individuals questioned by the police in the Empire case have now been released without charging, and detectives have additional investigative work to complete. In the meantime, two sources with intimate knowledge of the investigation said that the attack on Jussie was potentially orchestrated by him and involved the two other men. The police raided the brothers' home on Wednesday. That same day, the police met them at O'Hare International Airport as they were returning from a trip to Nigeria. Some of the items seized include a black face mask hat, an Empire script, phone, receipts, a red hat, and bleach. That same day, Jussie gave the Good Morning America interview that would finish him off in the court of public opinion, where he detailed the attack, alluded to the attackers being white, and explained why he didn't give the police his phone.
I gave a body description, and because I saw this, right here or whatever, but I can't tell you what color their eyes were. I can't tell you, and I did not see anything except the second person I saw running away. And the first person, I saw his stature. I gave the description as best as I could.
The police have gone through a lot of video, and they were able to capture an image of two people of interest. Have you seen that image, and do you believe that they could possibly be the attackers?
I do.
What is it about their size, or why do you feel that they could possibly be?
Because I was there. For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them. So when the police came, I kept the clothes on. I kept the rope.
So you had the rope on the entire time?
I mean, it wasn't like wrapped around, but it was around because I wanted them to see. It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot more. We had to give the phone records, which they didn't originally ask for my phone records. They asked for my phone. They wanted me to give my phone to the tech for 3 to 4 hours. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna do that.
Why?
Because I have private pictures and videos and numbers, my partner's number, my family's number, my castmates' number, my friends' numbers, my private emails, my private songs, my private voice memos. I don't know what that's gonna be to hand over my phone.
What other ones had you heard that were inaccurate?
That I had said that they were wearing MAGA hats. I never said that. I didn't need to add anything like that. They called me a They called me a There's no which way you cut it. I don't need some MAGA hat as the cherry on top of some racist sundae.
Why do you think you were targeted?
I can just assume, I come really, really hard against 45. I come really, really hard against his administration. And I don't hold my tongue.
Do you think there's a link between the letter and the attack? And you did mention it to the police right away about the letter.
Absolutely. Just because on the letter it had a stick figure hanging from a tree with a gun pointing towards it, with the words that said, "Smollett Jussie, you will die, black." There was no address, but the return address said in big red, like caps, MAGA. Did I make that up too?
After this, there had been rumors regarding Jussie's position on Empire, but the writers shut that down on Twitter and claimed they had never thought of writing him off. On February 16th, the police announced that there have been some developments in the investigation and that the brothers had been let out of the police custody without charge and were no longer being classified as suspects. They said, "We can confirm that the information received from the individuals questioned by police earlier in the Empire case has, in fact, shifted the trajectory of the investigation. We've reached out to the Empire cast member's attorney to request a follow-up interview." Gloria Schmidt, the brothers' lawyer, told CBS Chicago, "When they first learned about what happened to Jussie, they were horrified. This is someone they've worked with, so they don't want to see someone go through that." Meanwhile, Jussie's lawyer said, "Jussie Smollett is angered and devastated by recent reports that the perpetrators are individuals that he's familiar with. He has now been further victimized by claims attributed to these alleged perpetrators that Jussie played a role in his own attack. Nothing is further from the truth, and anyone claiming otherwise is lying. On February 20th, a video taken by CCTV cameras showed the brothers going to the convenience store and buying the things used during the attack, which Jussie was said to have directed them to buy. And on the 21st, Jussie was charged with felony criminal charges. He was charged for disorderly conduct and filing a false police report. Jussie's lawyers put out a statement saying, like any other citizen, Mr. Smollett enjoys a presumption of innocence, particularly when there has been an investigation like this one, where information, both true and false, has been repeatedly leaked. That same day, Jussie turned himself in to the Chicago PD. He was temporarily held at the Cook County Jail and separated from other prisoners. At a press conference, the police superintendent, Eddie Johnson, said that Jussie took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career, and that he did it because he was dissatisfied with his salary. They also claimed that he also had sent a racist letter to himself at Fox Studios and paid the brothers a check for $3,500 to stage the attack. Fox Entertainment and 20th Century Fox, the makers of Empire, issued a statement regarding the future of Jussie on the show, saying, "We understand the seriousness of this matter and we respect the legal process. We are evaluating the situation and we are considering our options." The next day, Fox released a statement announcing that Jussie would be suspended from the show. They said, "The events of the past few weeks have been incredibly emotional for all of us. Jussie has been an important member of our Empire family for the past 5 years and we care about him deeply. While these allegations are very disturbing, we are placing our trust in the legal system as the process plays out. We are also aware of the effects of this process on the cast and crew members who work on our show, and to avoid further disruption on set, we have decided to remove the role of Jamal from the final 2 episodes of the season." On February 25th, the check that Jussie had written to the brothers was made public by ABC News. It was dated 33rd of January and says 5-week nutrition workout programs don't go. The police chief told Good Morning America anchor Robin Roberts, "There's a lot of evidence that hasn't been presented yet and does not support the version he gave. There's still a lot of physical evidence, video evidence, and testimony that just simply does not support his version of what happened. It's important for people to recognize that it's not the Chicago Police Department saying he did something. It's the evidence, the facts, and the witness that are saying this." Copies of text messages apparently between Smollett and one of the brothers, whom he called Bon, in which the two discussed exercise and meal plans in the days preceding the alleged attack, were also leaked. On March 1st, the brothers' lawyer, Gloria Schmidt, made a statement on their name in which she said, "They understand how it has impacted people across the nation, particularly minority communities, and especially those who have been victims of hate crimes themselves." On March 13th, Empire started airing with Jussie's character being featured and the show seeing a 10% downturn in viewership in comparison to the previous episode. That same day, Jussie appeared in court charged with 16 counts of disorderly conduct and pleads not guilty. 6 days later, on March 26th, all of the charges against Jussie were dropped by the Chicago PD. The Office of Cook County State's Attorney Kimberly Fox said in a statement, "After reviewing all of the facts and circumstances of the case, including Mr. Smollett's volunteer service in the community and agreement to forfeit his bond to the City of Chicago, we believe this outcome is a just disposition and appropriate resolution of this case." Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel accused Mr. Smollett of fabricating a hate crime, all in the name of self-promotion, adding that he took no sense of ownership of what he's done and denounced the prosecutor's decision to drop the charges as a whitewash of justice, and said that Jussie was let off scot-free with no sense of accountability for the moral and ethical wrongs of his actions. While Superintendent Johnson said in a news conference that he felt justice had not been served and that the city is still owed an apology. He continued, "If someone falsely accused me, I would never hide behind a broker deal and secrecy. At the end of the day, it was Mr. Smollett who committed this hoax. Period. If he wanted to clear his name, the way to do it is in a court of law so that everybody can see the evidence. I stand by the facts of what we produce." Meanwhile, Justice Attorney said, "He was a victim who was vilified and made to appear as the perpetrator, as a result of false and inappropriate remarks made to the public, causing an inappropriate rush to judgment. Jussie and many others were hurt by this unfair and unwarranted action. The entire situation is a reminder that there should never be an attempt to prove a case in the court of public opinion." Lastly, the verified Twitter account of the writers' team of Empire posted a celebratory tweet, and 20th Century Fox released a statement saying, "Jussie Smollett has always maintained his innocence, and we are gratified that all charges against him have been dismissed." The next day, the Illinois prosecutor Joe Magats, who decided to drop the charges, tells CBS he thinks Smollett is guilty, but he explains that the charges were dropped because Jussie forfeited a $10,000 bond payment and carried out community service. Jussie's lawyer Patricia Brown Holmes said, We respectfully request all government agencies involved live up to the ethical tenets of their office. The case was dismissed. We should all allow Mr. Smollett to move on with his life as a free citizen." Meanwhile, ex-President Trump made a tweet saying that the FBI and the DOJ would be investigating the case. On March 29th, Jussie was ordered to cover the cost of police officers, including overtime hours used on the case. The city of Chicago demanded that Jussie paid $130,106 in the next 7 days. In the letter, the police repeated their accusation that Jussie faked the attack on himself by saying, "As part of the investigation, Chicago police reviewed video, physical evidence, and conducted several interviews, expending resources that could have been used for other investigations. Ultimately, the Chicago police investigation revealed that you knowingly filed a false police report and had in fact orchestrated your own attack." Jussie's lawyers responded by saying it is the mayor and the police chief who owe him an apology for dragging an innocent man's character through the mud. Jussie has paid enough. After Jussie refused to pay, he was sued by the city's law department on April 5th, seeking 3 times the damages it said it ran up during the investigation of the case. On April 19th, Jussie's Empire co-stars wrote a letter to the production and writing team of the show asking for Jussie to be reinstated in the show. The letter said, "Together as a united front, we stand with Jussie Smollett and ask that our co-star, brother, and friend be brought back for our 6th season of Empire. We understand the past months have been difficult to process. Sometimes the headlines brought more confusion than clarity. Yet we now have a conclusion to this ordeal. He is kind, he is compassionate, he is honest, and above else, he is filled with integrity. He is also innocent and no longer subject to legal uncertainties with the criminal charges against him having been dropped. We are confident in his lawyer's assurance that the case was dismissed because it would not have prevailed. It's clear every day that the extreme political climate in our country has only made our systems of justice and the court of public opinion more unjust. It is why now, more than ever, we must stand together as a family. A family is there for us in the good times and bad. It can cut through the noise and confusion to understand that there is a person in the center of all of this who deserves nothing more than to move forward with his life." On April 23rd, Jussie's legal team was sued by the brothers for defamation. They said, "We have sat back and watched lie after lie being fabricated about us in the media. Only so one big lie can continue to have life. These lies are destroying our character and reputation in our personal and professional lives." Jussie's legal team said, "At first we thought this comical legal document was a parody. Instead, this so-called lawsuit by the brothers is more of their lawyer-driven nonsense, and a desperate attempt for them to stay relevant and further profit from an attack that they admit they perpetrated. While we know this ridiculous lawsuit will soon be diminished because it lacks any legal footing, we look forward to exposing the fraud that the brothers and their attorneys have committed to the public." The next day, Fox announced that they had no plans for Jussie to return to Empire. They said, "By mutual agreement, the studio has negotiated an extension to Jussie's options for season 6. But at this time, there are no plans for the character of Jamal to return to Empire." On June 25th, the body cam footage of the police officers who went to Jussie's house 7 hours after the incident was released. In it, Jussie is seen wearing the same clothing that the one in which he was attacked, noose around his neck and all. He said that he had taken the noose off but put it back on when the police arrived. That same day, a video showed Abel and Ola in a cab on the night that the police were called. After this, the case went cold until February 12, 2020, when Jussie is charged with 6 counts of lying to the police, with the trial being set to start in November. On the opening day of the trial on November 29th, authorities alleged that Smollett paid the brothers to carry out the attack to promote his career because he was dissatisfied with his salary on Empire. A special prosecutor, Dan Webb, argues that the actor had developed a secret plan that would make it appear that there was actually a hate crime that actually occurred against him by supporters of Donald Trump. He said that he conducted a dress rehearsal with the 2 brothers and directed them to shout racist and homophobic slurs at him. Jussie's lawyers argue that the brothers attacked the actors because they did not like him. He also suggested that a 3rd attacker was involved. He also said that the check was for a meal and workout plan for Abel, who he says he was involved in a sexual relationship with before the alleged attack, and denied that he had been involved in a hoax. He also said that he didn't call the police because as a black man in America, he doesn't trust the police. On December 9th, the jury of 6 men and 6 women reached its decision 1 day after deliberation began. They found Jussie guilty of 5 of the 6 counts of disorderly conduct, meaning that the last one had not been proven in court, with each count carrying a penalty of up to 3 years in prison. On March 11, 2022, Jussie was sentenced to 150 days jail time. 30 months of probation, in order to pay a fine of $145,000. Jussie ended up serving only 6 days in jail and was freed on March 16th. According to court documents, the order was granted because the defendant has been convicted of a non-violent offense, and the court would be unable to dispose of the instant appeal before the defendant would have served his entire sentence of incarceration. Though it might seem like it, this case is still far from over, as we still don't know what the result of Jussie's appeal will be. Depending on who you ask, this case is one of two things. On one side, you have those who believe that Jussie is just a selfish, self-centered, and narcissist celebrity who was trying to use the years of division and the real fear of racial-related crimes to raise his profile in the industry and become a superstar. On the other hand, you have a smaller group of people who believe that Jussie really is a victim and that the Chicago PD has framed him in order to make an example out of him and bully victims of crimes in Chicago into silence. So what do you guys think? Is Jussie innocent or is he guilty? Let me know what you think of this whole case. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!